Hey friends, Ash here. Welcome back to Gents. Hope you're doing well. I got a big video for you today. Now, I myself and a lot of other YouTubers out there have done best-selling lists, like best-selling men's fragrances of the year, top 10 best-selling fragrances of right now, stuff like that. But we never have the actual information from the brands showing this is how much they sold for real in hard numbers. What we've had to do is parse information, read the tea leaves, go to different websites, see what's listed as a bestseller, and try to figure out from there, okay, this appears to be doing really well, this appears to be doing not so well, and then we can come up with a list of presumably bestsellers. But I got my hands on some information that I think will make a really interesting video for you guys, give a little peek behind the curtain, and also answer a lot of questions that you might have about what's going on with fragrances right now. What is successful right now? What is not successful? Why are certain fragrances being discontinued? Why are other fragrances never seemingly being discontinued? Yeah, we're gonna get into all that. I have the top 20 best-selling men's fragrances of 2022. With the amount that they sold. So we'll be able to go through the top 20, see what out there is really truly making money right now, what people are really buying, and we'll be able to draw some conclusions from that. So I think it's gonna be very interesting. So let's jump into it, guys, and let's start going over the top 20. Now, this is gonna be a pretty in-depth video, so this is gonna be part one, and I'll go through number 20 to number 11 in this video, and then I'll do number 10 through to the top selling fragrance of 2022 in another video, because otherwise the video is gonna be like 30 minutes long. I'll have these linked in the description below in case you wanna check them out. Again, number 20 through number 11 in this video, and we'll also have some other little nuggets of information that come out as we work through. And you know what fragrance will not be in the top 20 bestsellers of 2022? My fragrance. Blue Ridge. You gotta start somewhere, right? So Blue Ridge, Terra Nova, and Jet Black Enigma, those are my three fragrances. Those are in every Perfumania and every fragrance outlet in the country. So if you have one nearby, pop in there, give them a smell, give them a wear, maybe buy it. If you do buy it online, which is also linked in the description at Michael Molo's website, use the code GENTS for 20% off. Blue Ridge, a big compliment pulling, sweet and fresh blue fragrance made to be worn anytime, anywhere. Terra Nova, also made with maximum versatility in mind, but that one's a little bit classier, a little bit more grown up, but it retains that sweetness that's going to draw positive attention and compliments. And then Jet Black Enigma is made more for fall and winter time. It's sweet, spicy, sexy, and woody. Okay, let's jump into it. These are the top 20 best-selling men's prestige fragrances. Now, just a simple way to think of that is the prestige category is going to be fragrances that are typically designers or niche fragrances that have very wide distribution, the type of fragrances that you can find all over the place. All right, let's jump into it. Number 20 is from Giorgio Armani, and it's Acqua di Gio Eau de Parfum. And I'll tell you guys the sales numbers as well, so you can kind of get a handle on what we're talking about as far as the amount of fragrances being sold. And I will say that overall, the men's fragrance market in terms of the value, how much is being purchased per year, is just a little over half what the women's size is. So ladies still buying a lot more fragrances than men. So yeah, Acqua di Gio Eau de Parfum number 20, and it sold about $22.7 million worth. Now, of course, keep in mind, the brand is not making 22.7 off that because you do have overhead, you have wholesale costs, you have development, bottling, all this stuff goes into it, but 22.7 million. And this one was new for 2022. So yeah, I don't know if you consider that a huge win or not, because Acqua di Gio Eau de Parfum, you know, a direct descendant from the Eau de Toilette, and you'd assume that they're gonna make Acqua di Gio Parfum down the line, maybe this year. So part of me feels like they would have liked that to have done better, you know, a bigger pop there in the first year, but that's where it fell in, number 20. That being said, a lot of other brands out there would kill to have numbers like that. I mean, don't get me wrong, you know, if Blue Ridge sold $22.7 million in a year, I would take it, I guess. Seriously, yeah, 22 million. Number 19, Versace Man Eau Fraiche. Yeah, Man Eau Fraiche. Like, what? That was a big surprise. I did not expect Man Eau Fraiche to be in the top 20. Certainly didn't expect it to outperform Acqua di Gio Eau de Parfum, but here you go. Roughly 24 million for Versace Man Eau Fraiche, and that actually went up year over year. So they sold more of it in 2022 versus 2021. And a lot of people out there might see Versace Man Eau Fraiche and think, it's boring. You know, it's been done. It's been out there for a while. Little similarity to Dolce & Gabbana's Light Blue for women. You know, nobody cares about Versace Man Eau Fraiche anymore. You may think that, and you would be wrong. For me, that's a big win. To have that fragrance still in the top 20, still selling to that amount. But that does explain why Versace Man was discontinued, and there is nothing else in that bottle, but they still keep making Versace Man Eau Fraiche. It's its own thing. It's in that bottle style. They're gonna keep making it as long as they're making money from it. So number 19, Versace Man Eau Fraiche, Summertime Freshies, still getting the job done. And that is one thing you're gonna wanna keep your eyes open for as we work through this list. How many of these fragrances that are top 20 sellers are very versatile or summertime scents, or what people would generally think of as a fresh spring summertime scent? Keep that in the back of your mind. Number 18, Polo Blue. So Polo Blue Eau de Toilette here, and it was about at the level of Man Eau Fraiche. A very small difference between the two. Difference of about 30 grand between Man Eau Fraiche and Polo Blue, and Polo Blue actually sold less in 2022 than it did in 2021. And when I say Polo Blue sold less, I mean by a considerable amount. And that's one thing that actually can be gleaned from this information here. Polo fragrances in general underperformed last year versus the year before. Actually, Polo Red in 2021 was a top 20 seller, and in 2022 it was not. So across the entire Polo lineup by Ralph Lauren, year over year, they retracted, sold less in 2022 versus 2021. And so that does kind of open up some questions there. What does Ralph Lauren do? Obviously, they're trying to switch things up a bit. They're coming out with the new Polo Blue Parfum, Polo Red Parfum. Polo Blue Parfum is already out, of course. I'm just saying, you know, they're trying to maybe do a more modern take on the established DNAs in a classier bottle. But they have been money makers, the Polo fragrances, for years and years and years. So to see them pulling back a bit last year, it'll be interesting to see if that continues on, and if it does, what Ralph Lauren decides to do about it. Number 17 is gonna be a bit of a surprise to some of you out there, but if you really think about it, it probably shouldn't be as big of a surprise as it will be. Burberry Hero Eau de Toilette, number 17. This one right at about 24.1 million in sales, and actually year over year, big increase. So as more people smell Burberry Hero, as more people wear it, it's doing better. But Burberry Hero Eau de Parfum, which didn't make the top 20, it was released in August of last year, did 15 million between August and end of year. So with that taken into consideration, for this year, 2023, Burberry Hero Eau de Parfum and Eau de Toilette realistically could both be in the top 20. And this is something that, again, could be a big surprise to a lot of you out there. Burberry Hero? What? I thought that was a flop. I thought it didn't do anything sales-wise. One thing that people in the fragrance community sometimes will misconstrue is they'll think, oh, that got flamed on Fragrantica, therefore it must not do well. Not for nothing, Fragrantica can be a good resource, but it also can be a terrible resource at the same time. So yeah, Burberry Hero, both EDT and EDP doing fantastic, all things considered, especially after Mr. Burberry, which really wasn't massive, you know? To have Hero come out and succeed like this for Burberry, that's a big win, at least in my opinion, sitting here looking at everything. Let's keep it moving. Number 16 is Ralph's Club from Ralph Lauren. This one at about 24.5 million. And this one went up a little bit from last year, so increased sales for the fragrance. And Ralph's Club, I gotta say, another one of those ones that as I smell it, I'm thinking to myself, Everybody's gonna love this. Compliment monster. Super versatile, easy to wear, bottle looks good, looks classy, and I think it's a good move from Ralph Lauren. Like, after I wore it, I really thought, yeah, this is a very solid release. It can compete with a lot of the big boy fragrances out there. So to see it doing well in the top 20 makes total sense to me. Now, as we keep moving, I want you to think in your mind, what are fragrances that I think will definitely be in the top 20 for sure. And you will get a lot of those right, but I think you will also miss on some of those. Possibly a lot of those. Yeah. Number 15 now, Montblanc Legend. Yeah, just Montblanc Legend, the OG Legend. A bit of a surprise. And it made about $25.6 million. Now that sounds like a huge amount for Legend, right? Especially comparing that to some of these fragrances that it beat. But that's actually a big drop off from the previous year. How big of a drop off? A massive drop off. Actually, the biggest drop off of any fragrance in the top 20. So the previous year in 2021, it was much higher than this. Number 14, Gucci Guilty Black. About $25.8 million for this one. And this again is something that I've talked about, I've alluded to in numerous videos. Gucci Guilty Black gets so much crap from people in the fragrance community who will say, oh, it's terrible, it's garbage, it's awful, it's this, it's that. I personally think Guilty Black is very good. If you're looking for a fragrance, again, clean, fresh, wearable, approachable, the type of thing that you can pull off about anywhere that people are going to take positively to. I really think that it gets overlooked. And part of that is because when Gucci made the transition from, Envy and Rush and Gucci Pour Homme and stuff like that, and they moved it over to their Guilty line, a lot of people were like, oh, what is this? I don't like this modern stuff. Get that out of here. But obviously it was the right move because the stuff is selling. It's making the money. And at the end of the day, again, sales talks. If people like the fragrance, they will buy it, and they'll come back and buy more. They'll tell their friends who will buy it, and they vote with their wallet. If it weren't successful, they would kill it off. Best believe that. Number 13, another surprise. Coach for Men. Yeah, that's just wild to see it here. But obviously, Coach struck gold with this. Pretty big jump up, 28.6 million. For Coach. And Coach is another one where you would think, oh no, Coach is just one of those cheapies. You just toss it in there from wherever, fragrance buy, fragrance net. Just throw that Coach in there, No, Coach is racking it up, raking it in. And Coach and Guilty Black both, as far as how many units were sold, pretty much even year over year. Not much change. Just a tiny little bump up for both of those. So they're consistent. And I can tell you those brands are very happy to have consistent money makers. Number 12, YSL Le Parfum. 28.9 for this one. And it had a big leap up from the previous year, 2021. So Le Parfum, very expensive at retail. I mean, this thing, when it dropped at retailers in the US, I was really just like, oh, okay. That is pricey. But obviously they know what they're doing. It's selling, it's making money. And I like Le Parfum a lot. I think it's a very nice twist on the Y DNA. It's closest to Y Eau de Parfum, but it's a little bit more mature, a little bit darker, not quite as sweet, but keeps the same idea. So Le Parfum, big seller. And that one's not too much of a surprise. Anything Y that I see on a bestseller list, I'm like, oh, okay, that makes sense. Other than maybe Y Fraiche or something, I might see that and go, really? But Le Parfum, I get it. All right, the next one is number 11, which will conclude part 1, but some things that I want to go over with you here. Let's talk about some fragrances that did not make the top 20, so you will not see these from 10 to 1, but they're fragrances that you might be intrigued about as far as their positioning. The first one, Prada Luna Rossa Ocean, 20.1, and it came in 27th place. Now, I'm gonna spoil something for you here. Prada Luna Rossa Ocean, that's gonna be the highest ranking of the Pradas for men. There's been all this talk about, oh, Prada L'Homme, you know, being discontinued, Prada L'Homme Intense, Prada L'Homme Low, et cetera, all the Prada L'Hommes, right? And then the Luna Rossa line seems to be where they're concentrating everything, and a lot of people have been up in arms about that. And I agree, Prada L'Homme Intense, I love the stuff. AZZARO, the most wanted parfum. Didn't have a full year last year, so keep that in mind. 18.8. Number 32. So I think that's actually a really strong showing. AZZARO is not a brand that has as much name cachet as Armani, Versace, Dior, Chanel, right? And so to come out with a fragrance and be able to pull that much money without having a full year, you know, against all these other fragrances that did have a full year, getting that close to the top 20, I think is actually pretty solid. Last one that I'll talk about in this video before we do number 11, 1 million ELIXIR, 17.4 million, number 36. That's not as good, is it? Had a full year, bigger name, bigger line, still made less than the most wanted parfum. So, and actually I heard just the other day that 1 million parfum, it's getting, yeah, so we'll see. I can't say that for sure. I'm just saying that's what I heard. And that takes us to number 11, which is PACO Rabanne's 1 million. 31.1 million. So the original 1 million, still raking it in. And that one actually did bump up a little bit, made a little bit more year over year. So 2022, a little bit better for 1 million than 2021. And that's their moneymaker for PACO Rabanne there, almost in the top 10. It's been out for a long time, so many flankers, but the original 1 million still killing it. And the original 1 million almost doubling up what 1 million ELIXIR did. So yeah, take from that what you will. So there we go, the first 10 of the best-selling men's fragrances for 2022. I've also got the best-selling women's. I don't know if anybody's interested in that, but if you want it, we could run through that too. I'm gonna head out of here. Hopefully I don't get sniped by, you know, one of these fragrance brand CEOs, and I'll be back with 10 through 1 very soon. So stay safe out there. I'll see you guys again tomorrow with another fragrance video. See you later.